Hey everyone, I'm going to take a quick break here. I've been getting some questions that have been repeatedly asked me on Instagram and Facebook. Number one is how's the Norwegian coming? The Norwegian's coming very well. It's going to take a long time to learn. Uh, One of the main reasons why is because, well, if I would want to get a Norwegian citizenship, I have to take, I think, 600 hours of Norwegian. I have to pass a test. So I imagine what I've been learning is going to be help me whenever I take that test. So, but I think so I learn a little bit of Norwegian every day. Just it's not like I don't know how to explain it. I guess I could, I'm fixing a building. What's more important? Everyone speaks Norwegian here pretty much. Every once in a while, you run into situations where there's a difficulty with a question or something. But everyone understands English for the most part, and I imagine it's going to become even more and more. English will be more and more, the primary language for the most part as the years go on. But so just being here and looking at the signs, going to the grocery store, going to the gas station, bumping into people, just that every time you just learn something. When you put yourself in there, you're always learning. So you pick up on different words differently. So I'm learning all the time. Obviously, I'm here fixing a building up, so you got to kind of weigh what's more important. So are you going to become an outcast because you don't know Norwegian, or are you going to become an outcast because you don't have a job? I don't know. I'm fixing this building up, so that's a really special thing. So yeah. So I'm learning, and every once in a while, more so lately, I've been trying to say things when I go in the grocery store, and it works. And I've been doing this now for 8 years coming to Norway, so I have a comfort level. You go to the grocery store, and in Pusa, you hear that all the time. A bag, because in Norway you have to buy your grocery bags. They're like 10 cents or something, but they're really nice plastic bags, and you can use them for like trash bags. And it's just kind of everyone gets. You can either buy a grocery bag or not. So you just. The only problem that I kind of have is I'm immediately fingered as being someone who isn't Norwegian, because my credit card is a U.S. credit card, so I have to sign every time. So every time that happens, the transaction isn't as smooth as it could be, because then they know that they're just every time that happens, I'm sure it's someone who speaks English or something. So the credit card, but most of the time, holla. Now I'm saying holla, or snackers. When you leave. There's kind of when you leave, like if you're buying something or say goodbye to someone, a lot of times they'll say halla. I guess here in this part of Norway they say halla, but up in like Trondheim they might say halle, but with an e in the end instead of a. So you say halla when you leave. If you hear someone saying that back, I'm not to the point where I know whether or not I should be the first person to say halla or not. Snackers is like kind of like talk to you later. Snackers. There's all these other words that you hear thrown in there that I'm just learning, but it's basic. What's I think most important is just having the comfort level, having a basic comfort level to say anything. I think is the most important, because that's how you grow. That's how you build your confidence in learning a language. At this point, I'm not going to take a class because, like I said, I'm fixing this building. But another thing is I think when you get into groups of people, especially when you're learning, if I was in a group with a group of people learning a language, or with someone else learning a language, I think it'd be at least at my age now, that I'm as old as I am, I think it might be better to be like with someone learning the language than taking a class, because not only will I learn what that person has come to understand, which would make it easier if you're going to be friends with that person. I think it'd be easier to learn from that person than take a class where you just kind of, I don't know, I think, so I'm kind of hoping, because you kind of can tell everyone says things a little different, so I'm kind of hoping that I can learn from someone that I can always learn from than take a class. So that's another thing with the language question. I I guess the other question I've been getting, like how's the midnight, oh not the midnight, am I having any fun? Or they seem that it's only been like 3 or 4 days now, and people are wondering when am I going to have fun. So I had fun for several weeks because I didn't have this building, I didn't have the key to open it, and there was no way to get started on anything like this. So I was having fun there. I mean, it was also kind of work because I needed to learn about the area, so it was really important for me to go out and like climb those mountains and kind of act like how I'd always seen the Norwegians, people acting when I've been watching them through the years on Facebook, just to become part of it all, and then to get ideas for tiles and to be able to talk about it with people, because a lot of people are always talking about which mountains they're hiking and stuff like that. So now that I've been there and done that, then I can talk about those things, and I know what they're talking about. Also finding places to go fishing on my own. That's how. And every night, and I've been carving every day, every night. I would only go out for maybe 5 hours. So really, everything I was doing was work in a way. It really was. But now that I can get into this building, this is like priority. So I'm sure I'll take a break once in a while, but until I get a handle of certain things here, I'm also waiting to hear back about my residence permit, which is always on the back of my mind. Another thing about the residence permit is I applied for the sole proprietorship of the instead of the it's called AS. It's another version of where I'd have a partner involved in my business. And I didn't choose that version. I was encouraged by the people at the business garden here not to do that, to go for the sole proprietorship. That way I don't have someone else involved, and that's what I'm doing here. That's what I do in the United States, a sole proprietorship. So it's basically set up the same way here, just that there are different ways of describing it and stuff. So I have to hear back about that, and then so I'm waiting to hear back about that so that I can get a vehicle, because I can't get a driver's license until I have a D number, it's called. But actually, if I pay for this building, which I'm planning on doing next week, then I can get the D number before anything else. Then I can get the car, and everything's fine. D number is just like a social security number here. You can get it once you get the resident. Thanks, Mary. Well, thanks, Stephanie, too. I thought I mentioned Stephanie, but I didn't mention your name, Stephanie. But thanks for mentioning how I was carving. But thank you, too, Mary. I'm not looking back. Thanks, appreciate it. I mean, what can I say? That's a great comment. Thank you. Yeah, immersing yourself in the language is definitely better. I would rather do it this way. Especially because they can speak English here. If it was completely, I don't know, maybe it would be different if they couldn't speak English. But everyone can speak English. So it's again, if you try to start talking to someone here in Norwegian, they think you can speak Norwegian. So then they start talking, and you can't understand them until they start talking. So it's. But at the same time, now I can kind of. It's just like it's the same scenarios that play out here are like the same things that play out in the U.S. So like, even though you don't understand, like if you're buying something, you're asking a certain question, you can tell that they're saying the same thing someone would say back in the U.S. So it's a way of kind of like I said, immersing yourself in learning it. But like I said, I'd rather learn from somebody else, one person that I could always learn from, than go to a class or anything else. So, I don't know what else there is to mention. I was getting some comments. I can't remember on Instagram. I think I mentioned it. I don't know, that's about it. I'm gonna put in a few more minutes here, another half an hour or so, and then call it good. It's still light out. I mean, you can kind of see the window over there. It's like 12 or 11:30. It's like 11 almost. So, yeah, it's definitely quiet right now during the day here. And last Saturday night, it was like, or last Friday night, it was pretty busy. The kids here are like totally different, kind of a lot different than the U.S. A lot of the kids have little motorbikes and stuff, and they're always zipping around this building is an area where the kids must have, it's like a, lots of like space to drive your cars and motorcycles around. So there's a lot of kids like hanging out. I know what I was gonna say. Whether or not I consider myself like when I'm here, it's like I'm like an American. I'm like an American when I'm here. I'm never gonna like. I'm not, and no one's really thinking about it that much. I mean, everyone. I mean, people definitely. There's some people that definitely know that I'm like here doing this already, and word spreads. This town is about 7,000 people. There's a hospital here. The next biggest town is like Traverse City size, a little bit bigger than Traverse City. Haugesund, which is like 2 hours. And then Bergen, which is like 2 hours. So this is like the biggest town, like in between those two. Stavanger is really close to Haugesund, so they're like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So this town is like got 7,000 people, 8,000 people here, and so it's like a lot bigger than Sutton's Bay. It's smaller than Traverse City, so you can imagine word spreads pretty quickly on something. So like today there was like a group of kids. I was out in front of the door on the phone, and there was a group of kids kind of out in front hanging around the telephone pole. And I almost felt like they were watching me, like maybe they heard that there was like an American bought this building. That's what I was thinking they might be doing, or they might just be watching, hanging out. I don't know, but I felt like they were maybe checking me out. I think like maybe I was like something new, something like interesting. I also was thinking that they might be thinking that I was reporting them because I was on my phone and like looking at my phone, and I looked up at them and I was like typing, and I had kids. Last time I was in Haugesund, and I was taking pictures, and this kid on the motorcycle thought that I was reporting him. He chased me down in my car, and he wanted to make sure I wasn't reporting him. But no, I was taking pictures. So then he was all like, "Oh, thanks, man." So like I said, I'm like an American. So I'm just gonna. That's what I'm gonna be. There's no reason. That's what people want me to be, is American. They like cowboys here. They like there's people that have American flags on their motorcycles. It's just the way that it is. It's the way that the world is. America's there. It's just so I'm definitely like doing something that probably no one's done here before. An American, that is. I'm gonna post about this later on. The guy the person that owns the hotel, who I've gotten to know pretty well, that I stayed at, his wife is an American, and she's a singer, musician, and it's kind of interesting because I just found out that he there's all these little bands that end up coming to this town and playing, but he ended up he told me he's into music, so his name is Ola. I can't say his last name, but he owns the hotel, and his wife's an American, and she's a singer, yesterday he said that his favorite band is the Red Elvises, which they have played in Traverse City like 2 times. The Red Elvises. I don't know if you remember that or not. Like 10 years ago, the Red Elvises played in Traverse City, and I was at the Bay Theater, and being the projectionist there, and they put the poster up on the wall for the Red Elvises, and it had these like flying women in the background, and they were like in like a flying formation, and and I carved a tile that I call School of Fish. I used that tile, and I'm gonna do a post about this, but I used that tile to I kind of got inspiration from that pattern in the background of that poster, the Red Elvises poster, to make the pattern for that tile called School of Fish. And I just found out that his wife, who's the American, starting in 2008, I think it was, she said 2008, she started she's a singer for the Red Elvises. So, what are the chances of that? That I make a tile off the Red Elvises poster. And I was even at that concert for briefly when they came to Traverse City. This was like 2008. Like, I was just there briefly, but I was there. And so I designed a tile off of the Red Elvises, the pattern in the poster of a school of fish. And it's crazy. It's almost like, I don't know. So she's now a singer with the Red Elvises, and she's married to the guy that owns the hotel, the Hardanger Hotel. And she's from America. She's American. So, what are the chances of that? And it's a school of fish tile. What are the chances of that even? So, that's my report for now. So I'm going to just put another probably half an hour here.